presents its financial plan for the coming year. It outlines how much money the government expects to raise through taxes and other sources, and how it plans to spend that money on areas such as education, healthcare, roads, agriculture, and security. The budget reading is important because it influences the economy in many ways. It can affect taxes, the prices of goods and services, job creation, and government investment in public services and infrastructure. Yeah, that's absolutely true. It also gives businesses and investors an idea of the government's priorities, helping them make informed decisions. In simple terms, the budget reading is a roadmap for the country's finances. The decisions announced in the budget can have a direct impact on the economy and on everyday lives of citizens. Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to the Afternoon Business Review, where we tell you what moves money and markets. My name is Agyemang Prempeh. Welcome on board. This is how I start the show here on Class 91.3 FM. Let's start with our regulars. Let's move straight to the commodities market. Let's check how much crude oil, gold, and cocoa is being pegged on the international market. Crude oil is selling at $90 per barrel. Gold is being pegged at $4,086 per ounce, and cocoa is priced at $5,369 per metric ton. So this afternoon, if you're wondering how much your dollar is going for, I'm here to inform you that the dollar is selling at 11 cedis 60 pesos and is buying at 11 cedis 59 pesos. The pound is trading at 15 cedis 52 pesos and is buying at 15 cedis 50 pesos, whereas the euro is going for 13 cedis 24 pesos and is buying at 13 cedis 22 pesos. Please note these rates could be slightly different at the various forex bureau and banks. And as we do say always on the show, don't go to the black market, neither should you go to Accra Circle to the airport or engage any middleman or goro boy to change your dollar. Go to a licensed forex bureau or any commercial bank of your choice. And Caitlin Dazi of Data Bank is on standby with stock updates.
The stock market continued on a positive note on Wednesday, with price gains in 4 equities against 3 laggards. The top gainers were Clydestone, Hodds, and Intravenous Infusions, while Benzo Oil Palm, Casapreco, and Zen Petroleum declined. Driven by the price moves, the Ghana Stock Exchange Composite Index surged to a year-to-date return of 72.39%, while the Databank Stock Index returned 88.7%. MTN Ghana, Casapreco, and Guinness Ghana traded the most, accounting for 67.22% of the market turnover after trading 1.7 million shares across 28 counters. For Databank Research, Caitlin Dazi.
And the studios of Class 91.3 FM, my name is Agyemang Prempeh. It's now time for us to check out stories shaping both the local and international economies. And let's start from Ghana, as the former national coordinator of the District Road Improvement Program, DRIP, Neelante Vanderpoy, has mounted a strong defense of public spending cuts, describing them as a necessary tool for fiscal discipline amid Ghana's 2026 mid-year budget review. According to him, adjusting expenditures during revenue shortfalls is a prudent strategy to shield the country from entering unsustainable debt traps. He spoke in an interview.
You know that all economic principles are not cast in iron.
Yeah.
That certain factors. So budgets are supposed to be projections.
Yeah.
That assuming I'm able to do 1, 2, 3, this is what I will do. It is only a prudent government that says that I want to do this, projects to do this, proposes to do this. And then when its revenue targets are not met, as Fuseni is saying, cut down. Because the wise men say you cut your coat according to the size of your cloth.
Yes.
You cannot be in government, and then even when your projections are not being met, you recklessly go ahead to do. And that is why they left for us so many debts on projects that they projected to complete because they couldn't complete because they couldn't meet their revenue targets. The gang of four. You understand? So I mean interchange.
Yeah.
And all these problems, including even issues pertaining to funding that were secured, but because they declared the DDEP, all those projects were stalled because the foreign interests that were funding those projects withdrew.
So you had Nilante Vanderpoel, who is the former national coordinator of the District Road Improvement Program, DRIP. Ghana's mobile money economy processed 492.90 billion Ghana cedis in transactions in June 2026, underscoring the speed at which digital payments have become central to commerce, household finance, and the wider monetary system. The latest Bank of Ghana summary of economic and financial data shows that value of mobile money transactions rose from 323.20 billion Ghana cedis in June 2025 to 492.90 billion Ghana cedis in June 2026, representing a year-on-year increase of 52.51%. Over the same period, the number of transactions increased from 735 million to 954 million. That's representing a 29.80% rise. On the international front, Nigerians have spent 130.87% more on motorcycle, popularly known as Okada transportation, over the 3 years since President Bola Tinubu assumed office, as higher fuel prices and the depreciation of the naira continue to increase transportation costs across the country. Analysis by the National Bureau of Statistics Transport Fare Watch report for May 2023 and May 2026 showed that the average fare paid for an Okada trip rose from 464.55 naira in May 2023 to 1,072.51 naira in May 2026, representing an increase of 607.96 naira or 130.87%. The increase followed the removal of the petrol subsidy announced by President Bola Tinubu on 29th May 2023, which led to higher petrol prices nationwide. The situation was further worsened by the liberalization of the foreign exchange market and subsequent depreciation of the naira, which raised the cost of fuel, motorcycles, spare parts, and lubricants and vehicle maintenance across the country. So those are stories shaping both the local and international economies. It's now time for a big conversation for today, and yes, the Finance Minister Baron Orot will in a few hours appear in Parliament to present the 2026 mid-year budget review. Dr. Kasiala Toforson is expected to update Parliament on flagship programs including the 24-hour economy policy, the Women's Development Bank, and the Big Push infrastructure agenda, job creation initiatives, education, healthcare, and measures to tackle illegal mining. And the minister will also be speaking on issues related to floods in the country. So today on the Afternoon Business Review, we are bringing you reactions from the business community, analysts and economic experts, as well as ordinary Ghanaians on the expectations ahead of the presentation. So let's start this discussion with from the Executive Director of Revenue Mobilization Africa, Geoffrey Okansi, who yesterday on 505 said he expects the Finance Minister, Dr. Kasiala Toforson, to announce measures aimed at strengthening expenditure controls and managing the country's public debt.
it is important to know that what you have paid as taxes, it should be properly utilized. Cutting down expenditure, ensuring that you cut down losses as well, and also you need to actually do a third phase one, which is also plugging the holes to avoid losses. So what am I expecting? I'm expecting that the minister will come and tell me a further boost in action. You remember when they activated the use of AI technology at the play? It's actually to get to cut down on our losses, plug the holes that were existing. You know, you had some noise, and then it was actually negotiated and discussed. For every system that is introduced, our shortfalls anyway. But we have gotten some increase in revenues from that aspect. And also, I've also had the introduction of tax systems where we are beyond the tax education. You need to actually touch base with the people. There are difficulties that are stopping people from paying their tax. You need to handle all that. And then the grant of exemption.
So you heard Geoffrey Okansi, who is the Executive Director of Revenue Mobilization Africa. You can also share your expectations with us on the Afternoon Business Review here on Class 91.3 FM via our WhatsApp console 0500,000 202. 0500,000 202. Now let's move to the business community, as the Importers and Exporters Association of Ghana is also calling on the government to refrain from introducing additional taxes at the country's ports following the rollout of the Publican AI system. The association is further urging the government to implement measures to introduce or reduce lending rates and improve access to affordable credit for businesses. The General Secretary of the association, Samson Asaki Awingobet, has also been speaking to us.
The assurance of Bank of Ghana dollar availability will make dollars available to the commercial banks to trade. Mind you, the commercial banks are not permitted export or to import by their own forex. So they rely heavily from the Bank of Ghana.
Right.
But above all, I think that we want to see money that is being collected from business community plow back to the development of the country. I want to humbly appeal. I remember when the Ghana Port and Harbor Authority was giving the concession to MPS at $1.2 billion. I said it that at that time. I said that Ghanaians, if they go to Ghana Stock Exchange today, they can be able to raise this money immediately. So I want to use this opportunity to appeal to the Minister of Finance, if he's listening, that this expressway and Ghanaian can buy.
So you heard the General Secretary of the Importers and Exporters Association of Ghana, Samson Asaki Awingobit. The National Director of Welfare of the Ghana Union of Traders Associations, Guta Benjamin Yaboa, and the General Secretary of the Food and Beverages Association of Ghana, Fabak Samuel Agri, have also shared the expectations for the government economic policy directions. They are also expecting the Finance Minister, Dr. Kasiala Ato-Forsythie, today speak on issues related to the VAT and also some taxes. Let's take a listen.
What we expect to see or hear from the finance minister is how to mitigate certain losses as it were by the increase of utility costs, which has affected industry so much. And if nothing is done about it, we are still going to face certain aspects of price increases. Now, if you look at what is happening within the market space, some of the foodstuffs that came down have started rising again, not because the city has changed, but the scarcity of certain things and then the cost in certain tariffs that has also come up. So that is where it is now. What we need also to see is to have a relatively stable environment as we have enjoyed previously, and then ensure that the city becomes very stable, so that at least we can plan ahead. We have been doing now. So nothing much that would be expected, but the big problem that we have, the challenges that we are facing now, is the agriculture space.
That has always been the case. Definitely, because we will be going for the media review, we will definitely have some expectations that we want the our finance minister to touch on. And the first one had to do with the review of the new VAT system, which was introduced this year. When the VAT was introduced regarding the new act, which now pegs the VAT rate at 20%, Guta raised some issues regarding the 20% because we think the 20% was on the higher side, and because they were going to do away with the flat rate, we still wanted the flat rate, and because the flat rate was at 4%, we thought if the flat rate had been increased from maybe between 7 and 8%, it would have been better than putting all of us in the 20% range. We want the finance minister to touch on that issue by turning those that are in the informal sector back, looking at the issue of foreigners in retail trade. It's about time government takes a bold decision to put that issue to rest.
So you hear the National Director of Welfare of the Ghana Union of Traders Association, Guta Benjamin Yaboa, and you also heard the General Secretary of the Food and Beverages Association of Ghana, Fabak Samuel Agri. Now, a session of the general public also shared mixed expectations ahead of the presentation. They shared their views with us so we can also take a listen to them.
My expectation for tomorrow's budget, I'm expecting the government to outline the promises that he made to Volta region people some few weeks ago. And I'm expecting that our whole sports stadium, as he promised, should reflect in the budget. Whole teaching hospital, the standard that he also promised should reflect. And Volta Regional Hospital, which is Hohwe Government Hospital also, I'm expecting that all those things to reflect so that the impact will be great in the Volta region.
President came to make some promises last week about reviving the Volta Textiles Limited. I would love for it to be included in this year's budget, so that everything will start working for the people of Japan and its surrounding areas. The job that they promise the Ghanaian youth will be created. Completion of the UHAS project and any other project that they've started or any government started but couldn't finish in the Volta region. I expect them to put them in the budget, and maybe 1 or 2 years time they will finish and everything will be okay. Then also the posting of our nurses, that one too, I would love for it to be read in the budget.
Expectation is for the president, for the budget, for Volta region alone. I'm expecting that all the promises he promises, especially the Japan tester, because when he bring it back, it will help a lot of youth to get job so that it will reduce the unemployment in the system. At the same time, our rules, as it started, we want it to be completed so that everything will be okay for us.
Nothing that I'm expecting from the budget, because whatever that we the citizens, what we are facing, I don't know whether they too are facing the same thing, because we are on the ground, we know what is going on, and then our country now, everything is about politics and then politics. So the good things that we the citizens that we are facing, like I don't know whether our politicians, quote and non-quote, whether they are following the same, because we are feeling it. I don't know whether they are feeling it too. So I'm not expecting anything much because they already have their plan.
Especially because you coffee crana canoe it's all short. We could do a with card a first Santasi. We ourselves
My expectation is simply that we want the finance minister to articulate information that will help to build our economy. Some like
So you had a session of Ghanaians sharing their expectations ahead of the media budget review to be presented by the finance minister, today in a few hours, so it's scheduled to start at 2 p.m. in Parliament in the chamber. So Dr. Kasilato Forsen at 2 p.m. will be in Parliament in the chamber to present the 2026 mid-year budget review. But yesterday, the opposition New Patriotic Party, that's the NPP, held a press conference to speak on what they describe as happenings in the economy. So the minority spokesperson, or I should say the ranking member on Parliament's Economy and Development Committee, Agyemang Prempeh, spoke on behalf of the minority and the NPP. So he spoke on issues concerning the government's flagship 24-hour policy or program. Let's just take a listen to him from yesterday's press conference.
Mr. Speaker, as we went through the policy document and looked out for what the next steps were, we were told to look out for two specific things. One is a 24-hour economy market. 24-hour economy market. That's what we are now being told to look out for. And two is a list of incentives which will incentivize the private sector to start operating the 133 shift. I want to speak quickly to these two things that at the end of the day we are now being asked to look forward to. Because, Mr. Speaker, you will recall that the bill that was passed did not provide for all of the items in the shift that were spoken about. So now we are told to look out for these two things. Mr. Speaker, there are markets in this country, in many of these districts, that do not operate 24 hours. In fact, even for those traditional markets, they have to wait for what you often call a market day. Now, the government is going to spend tens of millions of Ghana cedis on building new 24-hour markets with the expectation that nothing new having been done in the economy, just the mere creation of these markets will now cause people to buy and sell in them for 24 hours. But what is the reason for which we believe that if we spend more money to build a new market, it will now function 24 hours? It beggars belief. Our recommendation, our advice includes the fact that this administration should go back to the 1D, 1F program.
So that was Agyemang Prempeh. He's a ranking member on Parliament's Economy and Development Committee, and he's also the member of Parliament for Fuasin Iribi. Yesterday, as part of the NPP's press conference on the economy, Agyemang Prempeh also spoke on Ghana's public debts.
The increased borrowing that we are seeing today means one thing, that this target by the end of 2028 is already at risk. And thus tomorrow the minister must present a proper debt sustainability analysis to convince the people of Ghana that all the sacrifice and the work that the people of Ghana went through to reduce our debt burden is not in vain. Colleagues, I'm sure you recall that just yesterday in Parliament, they came for nearly $1 billion approval. And so already the debt target by 2028 is at risk.
Now, yesterday a lot happened in Parliament, from the minority to the majority and all that. Our parliamentary correspondent Zita Okwan has come through with this report highlighting or capturing whatever transpired in Parliament yesterday ahead of today's mid-year budget presentation.
Attention now turns to Parliament, where Finance Minister Dr. Kasilato Forsen is expected to present the Mahama administration's first mid-year budget review on Thursday, July 23. The statement is expected to provide an account of government's economic performance over the past 6 months and outline progress on key policy commitments. Ghanaians will be looking for updates on major flagship programs, including the proposed Women's Development Bank, the 24-hour economy initiative, the Big Push infrastructure program, efforts to tackle illegal mining and flooding, as well as interventions in education, job creation, and other sectors. Ahead of the presentation, the minority in Parliament says it does not expect the Finance Minister to seek additional funding, arguing that Parliament has already approved adequate resources for government programs.
If the Finance Minister come here to this house tomorrow, we will be observing and be monitoring every line of his statement or his budget. And we beg him, he should not come and ask of any money, because we will not give him any money, because the money that we have given. Mr. Speaker, yesterday, we approved about $1 billion. $1 billion as a loan to the minister.
The Member of Parliament for Tolon, Habib Idrisu, also questioned the implementation of several government initiatives, insisting many remain largely on paper.
I just want The deputy leader to know what Ghanaians are expecting of the finance minister tomorrow when he presents the statement. Mr. Speaker, the jobs that they promised Ghanaian youth, including NDC youth, is only on paper. The 24-hour economy, Yamutu. The Women's Bank, Yamutu. 133, Yamutu. Paying contractors, Yamutu. And every bit of the promise that you have done, Ghanaians are expecting that the media budget tomorrow should be able to address that.
The majority, however, says the government has made significant gains within its first 6 months in office, points to the reported decline in Ghana's debt-to-GDP ratio to 44% as evidence of prudent economic management. Vice Chairman of Parliament's Finance Committee, Rachel Champon, believes the government's economic record deserves recognition.
Mr. Speaker, many of our friends are turning to be prophets of doom. Things that have not happened is what they are talking about. We left a loan portfolio of 120 billion. By the end of the 8-year term, you move it to 748 billion Ghana cedis. Debt to GDP ratio moved to over 100%. When you were living, it was around 61%. And now it's 44.7%. And instead of praising the government, you are here saying, and then what you did is giving us all these important indicators. Mr. Speaker, it's about economic discipline. When he brought commitment authorization, people were talking about it. When he set up value for money office, people were talking about it. There have been discipline in the system. And this is giving us all these positive results.
Today's presentation is expected to trigger intense debate, with both sides of the House scrutinizing government's figures, policy outcomes, and expenditure. Ultimately, many Ghanaians will judge the review not only by the numbers presented, but by whether they reflect improvements in their daily lives. Reporting for Class News here in Parliament, I am Zita Okwan.
So just as you heard from Zita Okwan, all eyes, all ears, all nose, all roads leads to Parliament today, because at 2 p.m. the Finance Minister, Dr. Kasiala Toforsen, will be before the chamber presenting the 2026 mid-year budget review. So stay glued and stay tuned to Class 91.3 FM as we bring you 360 analysis, pre and post discussion of the 2026 mid-year budget review. And that's how we wrap up today's edition of the Afternoon Business Review here on Class 91.3 FM with me and Agyemang Prempeh. For more news, visit classfmonline.com. As always, we say you don't need a dictionary to understand business news. Good afternoon.